PC gamers live in a different ecosystem than console gamers. And while this creates a lot of good things, it also creates a lot of gripes. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 5 things PC gamers hate. Number 5, a blistering release schedule. There are too many games coming out all the time, and a person does not have the amount of time in a day to play all of them. Now this sounds so much like a blessing rather than a curse, like a pro rather than a con, like a good thing. You don't need me to tell you that the opposite of good is bad, right? And I'm not even actually saying that this is a bad thing. It's just something that's really easy to get overwhelmed by and therefore can end up on a PC gamer's nerves pretty easily. A PC gamer can easily have hundreds of games sitting in a back catalog waiting to be played at any given time. And it's not just because there's a blistering release schedule, although I think that's probably the main issue. There's also the issue of the constant Steam sales. It's sometimes a little bit easier to pick and choose what games you want to play when you actually don't have access to all of them, but when like 10, 20 games all cost like $5, I could spend $100 on like 20 games. It takes a lot more willpower not to buy all of those games when considering buying a couple of AAA games would outspend that. It seems like a value grab, but at the same time, as I said, it's a bit of a curse. Number 4, there is a launcher epidemic going on at any given time. Let me just say that this is one of the most heavily annoying things out there, because Steam is a just fine launcher. But you want to talk about how Ubisoft has a damn launcher, and Blizzard has a damn launcher, and EA has a damn launcher, and Epic Games has a damn launcher, and the Rockstar Social Club has a damn launcher, and there's Bethesda.net. Side note, I'm pretty glad I couldn't think of any more there, on account I don't really know how much lower my voice would go. Like if you have Steam, by default, you're running it pretty much all the time. It runs in the background so the instant messaging functions can be always on. You can find out what your friends are doing, get notifications, yada yada. And being you always have that running, when you open up like the Epic Games launcher to get into Fortnite, it's pretty annoying, you know? Because it's like opening up a Steam that has none of the functions of Steam except for like as related to a specific game or a specific developer's games, which is just, in my opinion, powerfully. I don't like running stuff all the time. I don't even like having Steam on. Like I said, by default, it's always on. I've shut that off. If I want Steam open, I open Steam. So in hopes that the amount of launchers might go down a bit, and obviously let's just go ahead and say in hopes that Valve can get some of the money back that these AAA developers essentially take along with them when they make their own launchers, Valve has gone ahead and done a reducing of their cut if you make more than $10 million in revenue. And if you make over $50 million, they reduce their cut again, changing it so that AAA developers, which let's be clear, are probably the only people who are ever going to make that kind of money on Steam, get 80% of the revenue instead of 70%, which is a pretty big improvement. And while technically it's driven by greed, I think it probably would be overall a better experience if we had less launchers. So hopefully that takes. Number 3, when somebody has a bug or a problem with a game, and it's not being addressed by the developer, and it's clear that more people are having that bug than just that one person because the type of corroboration that has been made possible by the internet takes place. Scrutiny of the game's code happens, and maybe even some development on maybe an unofficial mod happens. It happened with Nier Automata, for instance, and that mod makes the game a lot better. Or even if we're not talking about a mod, just changing a setting and getting it to work better for a certain group of people. When a small group of other people decides that that is unnecessary and annoying, and starts to say things like, well, I'm not having problems. Maybe it's just your computer. Maybe you just set it up wrong. Who cares? If more than one person is having this kind of problem and they work together to solve it, that's good. That's called people taking things into their own hands and making their own lives better, if even only in a small way. The kind of person that says, I'm going to work together with other people to fix this problem is just so much more tolerable by my standards than the person who says, maybe it's just your fault. Maybe you did it wrong. Maybe your computer's bad. Number 2 is bad ports. Hey, we've done work on this before, right? You've watched 10 worst PC ports nobody wants to remember, right? And if you didn't, I'm just gonna say 2 words for you. Arkham Knight. Just yipe on every level. Arkham Knight is such a bad port. They hired, like, if I remember right, 12 people to do it. A AAA game of this scale, they hired 12 people to port. Yeah, it's bad. And I would highly recommend you check out that video we did, because we did a list. Honestly, I could just list a bunch of bad ports here, but it's a rampant problem, especially with AAA games that come out on console first. They often regard the PC as a secondary market, as if it doesn't really matter that much, despite the PC market being very, very big. And finally, number 1, the idea that the war between consoles and PC is a genuine, real, honest thing. I mean, yes, there are people that have taken it very seriously and have gotten PC gamers stereotyped as elitist. And that's not to say that PC hardware isn't superior, it, like, objectively is superior to consoles. But having a better piece of hardware doesn't make you, like, a better gamer. It makes you a person who has hardware that makes it easier to enjoy games on. And I think that that's something, rather than to brag about and be like a big turd about, which, let's just be completely honest, I don't think a lot of PC gamers are actually like that. I think that it's mainly just really vocal ones, but like the majority of them are actually pretty nice people, I've found. And the PC gaming community is frankly awesome. So, I mean, while those stereotypes do exist and they've kind of gotten a lot of us stereotyped, I think it's a little more positive than it tends to get painted. And I don't like the fact that it's painted that way either. That's a choice by anybody who decides to paint PC gamers that way. But it does come from that competitive consoles versus PC standpoint, and honestly, I don't really care much for that. I just like playing games, you know? And as a quick bonus point for you, when you play a racing or fighting game online, the lack of players that are often playing it, like, unless you're playing the very biggest games, there's often not a lot of people play, like, online fighting games, especially if you're playing like an indie one, sometimes you're dealing with some pretty serious, hey, there's nobody here. Why is there nobody? This game is great. Why is there nobody here? That's a viewpoint that I've had more than once doing that. As a PC gamer, what are some things you hate? Leave us a comment, let us know what you're thinking. And if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. Click the subscribe button and do not forget to click the alarm bell. You'll get notifications as we upload new videos every single day. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.